The expert I have interviewed is Carissa Dempsey. Carissa is a registered dietitian who specializes in sports nutrition. She has a Bachelor of Science in Applied Human Nutrition and holds a Bachelor in Social Work. The questions and answer interview took place in person on April 30th, 2024, and involved the following 9 questions. What type of foods are best to eat before a strength training session and why? Carbohydrates are best to have before strength training because carbohydrates are essential for energy. Therefore, fueling with carbohydrates before an activity that requires strength and power allows the individual to maximize their strength training performance. Ingesting complex carbohydrates 1 to 4 hours before training can ensure glycogen levels are topped up. However, as the window before training closes, simple carbohydrates are suggested because they do not take long to digest. Therefore, eating a banana or having a piece of candy can be ingested 15 to 30 minutes before a strength training session. In addition, fat and fiber should be limited before training because these foods take longer to digest and may cause gastrointestinal issues. What type of foods are best for recovery after a strength training session and why? Because carbohydrates provide the body with energy, carbohydrates are essential after a strength training session to replenish glycogen stores. Complex carbohydrates may be best for athletes with a low training demand. However, simple carbohydrates are recommended for more intense athletes before their next training bout. Therefore, the types of carbohydrates ingested depend on training intensity and duration. Protein is also essential for hypertrophy and muscle strength. However, the total amount of protein received throughout the day is more important. Fats are the least important macronutrient because fats are already stored as energy, and therefore fats do not need to be replenished. What are your thoughts on intermittent fasting for athletes, and are there any benefits? Intermittent fasting can be a great way to manage caloric intake. However, intermittent fasting is not recommended for athletes. Instead of losing weight, athletes should maintain their body composition to maximize their performance. For example, relative energy deficiency in sports, also known as REDS, can occur in athletes who overtrain and do not get enough fuel to benefit their performance. REDS can also lead to what's known as the female athlete triad. The female athlete triad combines 3 factors: low energy performance, menstrual dysfunction, and decreased bone mineral density. As a result, athletes who overtrain and who engage in intermittent fasting are at higher risk of developing REDS. Therefore, athletes who engage in intermittent fasting can be more susceptible to injuries, fractures, and eating disorders. What is the best way to ingest probiotics? Probiotics has many health benefits and can manage cancer, diabetes, lactose intolerance, irritable bowel syndrome, and diarrhea. Probiotics can also be found in many fermented foods or drinks such as yogurt, ice cream, and bread, and should be taken through whole foods. However, Carissa pointed out that probiotics can also be taken in capsule or liquid form. When probiotics are taken in capsule form, this can provide a more supportive and stable environment for the bacteria. Therefore, the quality of probiotics in liquid form may not be as superior to capsule form, since the strains can change state and are not contained within a stable environment. What type of supplements are essential for strength performance? Omega-3 fatty acids are recommended for all athletes because omega-3 fatty acids have an inflammatory response and help with brain health. Supplementing with omega-3 fatty acids is recommended for individuals who do not get enough in their diet. High levels of EPA can also help with depression. In addition, an adequate protein intake is required for muscle and bone health. Therefore, protein supplementation may be required if the individual does not get enough protein in their diet. For example, anywhere between 1.6 to 2.7 grams per kilogram is recommended for many athletes. However, protein should be ingested through whole foods. Creatine is another great supplement that can help with energy production and clarity. In addition, creatine helps build muscle and maintain muscle mass. Therefore, 5 grams of creatine daily is recommended. However, creatine is not recommended for individuals with kidney problems. Do you recommend older adults take creatine? Yes, Carissa does recommend creatine for the elderly because creatine benefits the aging brain and helps develop clarity. In addition, creatine is ideal for bone health, muscle mass, and reducing inflammation. Therefore, 5 grams of creatine can be ingested daily. As pointed out by Stars and Bain, osteoporosis, sarcopenia, and cognitive decline is common in old age. Therefore, creatine can be effective for older adults. However, creatine, again, is not recommended for individuals with kidney problems. What are the key micronutrients required for female athletes pre-menopause? Iron is especially important in female athletes due to the amount of iron lost during menstruation. Krista pointed out that females who are deficient in iron are more at risk of developing anemia. As a result, female athletes may need 70% more than the recommended dietary amount. Adequate iron intake is especially vital for endurance events that cause high sweat loss. Therefore, iron deficiency screening is recommended for female athletes pre-menopause. Recommended iron intake is 45 milligrams daily. In addition, calcium is vital for bone health. Because osteoporosis occurs during the aging process, adequate calcium amounts is needed in women to prevent bone fractures. Therefore, at least 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams is recommended daily for women who do not consume enough calcium. Vitamin D also supports the regulation of calcium and phosphorus absorption, thus helping with bone health. Because vitamin D can be absorbed by the sun, female athletes that train indoors are recommended to supplement with vitamin D. Should endurance athletes replenish sodium intake? Yes, sodium can be replenished if a lot of sodium was lost through sweat. However, replenishing sodium is not necessary if the event is under 2 hours. In addition, dietitians can determine how much sodium the athlete lost during their event. For example, a regional absorption patch worn by the athlete can help determine sweat loss. However, drinking plenty of fluids and staying hydrated is more important than replenishing sodium levels. How much protein is required before a strength training event? Protein helps support muscle synthesis. Therefore, adequate protein intake is vital for strength training to help repair muscle growth. Krista pointed out if there is not enough protein to support muscle hypertrophy, muscle mass degrades and the athlete may not have enough strength and power. As a result, 1.2 grams to 2.6 grams per kilogram is recommended daily. However, not eating enough carbohydrates and engaging in too much resistance training can degrade protein from the muscles. Therefore, an adequate intake of carbohydrates is also needed before training. This question and answer interview with Krista Dempsey was extremely valuable and informative. For example, learning about the importance of carbohydrates for strength training is vital for improving performance for both myself and clients. Understanding the role different macronutrients have on the body has given me the confidence to better advise clients about their nutrition, especially in terms of their strength training sessions. In addition, it is important to understand when the best time would be to ingest simple versus complex carbohydrates. For example, simple carbohydrates are easier to digest, therefore can be eaten closer to training time. On the other hand, complex carbohydrates should be ingested hours before training to be given enough time to digest. Therefore, understanding this eating window is extremely helpful for maximizing energy production. Carissa also pointed out the importance of certain micronutrients on female athletes pre-menopause. For example, iron, calcium, and vitamin D are vital for older women pre-menopause due to the body's changes that naturally occur within the aging process. This information can be beneficial when working with older female clients. Because intermittent fasting can lead to relative energy deficiency syndrome in the female athlete triad, intermittent fasting is not recommended for athletes. Instead, athletes should focus on properly fueling their body with the right macro and micronutrients. Lastly, hydrating oneself during an endurance event is extremely important and is more beneficial than replenishing sodium levels.